Hi there, Scott here again with another episode of Flip That Script. I thought I'd get a little change of scenery here. It's a nice day outside, out in the front yard. Today I wanted to talk about withholding, breadcrumbing, and emotional abandonment. This relates specifically to having a toxic or narcissistic parent. Fortunately, in my experience, only my father was a narcissistic parent. My mother very much helped to compensate for those toxic behaviors. Along those same lines, in my growing up, I would more call it neglect or aloofness. If you ever seen the movie Mary Poppins, I would liken my father to the character of Mr. Banks, who felt very much like physically taking care of a child is the extent of the involvement needed. Narcissistic parents do not cater to your inner or emotional world. So what I would call being aloof is something that for a child amounts to emotional abuse because it is extremely neglectful. I know in my own experience growing up, I was an honor student through school and was also in the process all through grade school. I've become a lifelong musician and I became a very accomplished piano player. And I never really had my father tell me that he was proud of me for making the honor roll, or proud of me or validate my progress with becoming an accomplished piano player. It still had to be all about him. I went through private school, so that was all about that he paid for the tuition. And in fact, he almost, I know from recently, not much before the no contact, and another period of time that I'll go into later in another video, he actually looks at that as if he educated me. And as far as my accomplishments and becoming a advanced piano player, that was all just about that he paid the tuition. So what toxic and narcissistic parents like this will do also is, upon occasion, give you little morsels of the validation that you seek. And because you're so deprived of that, especially as a kid when you really need that, you gobble up that validation or an occasional compliment or any small amount of praise eagerly because of how much it's withheld. So that's why I also call it withholding, because toxic, narcissistic, abusive parents really know what it is that you're seeking, but they will pretend to be confused. And their withholding of it, of the praise and validation that you seek and actually naturally need as part of being nurtured as you're growing up, It's done on purpose to manipulate you. Something else they like to do along those lines is to keep moving the goalposts as to what it takes to please them or to garner some of the attention and praise and validation that you naturally seek as a child. You will find that this continues even when you become an adult. So that's kind of what that's all about. That pattern definitely, at least I have found, continued all the way up to when I broke contact with my father. Got a lot of publicity for a business that I started and have run for almost 30 years, and nothing ever has or ever will impress him, or at least he always acted like it doesn't. So what we all need to learn to do when it comes to having a parent like this, I know in some cases 2 parents like this, is you need to learn to validate yourself. I hope this helped you to gain some insight into your own situation with a toxic parent or parents.